This video is about the straight path, siratul mustaqeem. Every Muslim asks God to guide him on the straight path every time they recite the surah Fatiha, the chapter Fatiha. That chapter goes, "Praise be to God, Lord of the worlds, most compassionate and most merciful, Master of the Day of Judgment. You alone do we worship, you alone do we ask for help. Guide us on the straight path, siratul mustaqeem, the path of those whom you have blessed, not of those who deserve your wrath, nor the strayers." The straight path is defined concretely in the Quran. And if we don't follow it, then we really don't follow anything, no matter what else we follow. So it is very important to understand what this is and where it is. The straight path is delineated in chapter 6, verses 151 to 153. In those block of verses, Prophet Muhammad is instructed to say something. So these verses start with the Arabic word kul, which means say. So God instructs him to say this, so you can rest assured that he actually said this. This is the best hadith. This is the best story. This is the best narration. Whatever goes against this, whatever neglects this, is wrong. Simple as that. I don't care who says it's right or what mufti says it, or it doesn't matter. This is the core of Islam. This is the straight path, and I will recite it to you. And he recited it to his people. You know, he stood in front of his people and said this. So he said, so he's instructed to say. God tells him, say, "Come, let me tell you what your Lord has made haram or forbidden for you, that you should associate anything with him," meaning commit shirk. "And do good to your parents. And do not kill your children out of fear of poverty. We provide for you and for them. And do not approach fawahisha, which is sexual immorality, whether it's concealed or out in the open. And do not kill a soul that God has made forbidden, except for the requirements of justice. These are his commandments to you, that you may take heed, that you may take warning. And do not approach the property of an orphan except in the most righteous manner, until they reach maturity. And give full weight and measure when you trade with justice. We do not burden a soul beyond its ability. And when you speak, be just, even if it's against your own family, and keep your deal with God. These are his commandments to you, that you may be mindful, that you may keep it in your mind." He's saying this to people. And then he finishes it with, "This is my straight path. This is my siratul mustaqeem." So Prophet Muhammad just said this, and he is standing in front of his people saying, "And this is my straight path. So follow it. And do not follow any other paths, lest they take you away from his path. These are his commandments to you, that you may be careful of your duty. That you may be careful of your duty. That you may take warning, that you may be mindful, and that you may be careful of your duty." This is the core of Islam. This is what it is. Without it, nothing else matters. You can't kill your children. You have to respect your parents. You cannot commit fawahisha, and God defines fawahisha as adultery, fornication, homosexuality in the Quran. You can't do any of those. You can't kill a soul except for requirements of justice, and that's only if they kill somebody else. You can't misuse the property of an orphan. You have to be fair in commerce. You cannot cheat each other in business. You cannot cheat anybody in business, Muslim or not. And you have to stand for justice, for truth. Even if it's against your own family, which can be hard. We want to protect our family. And all of these things, this is just the breakdown. All of these things are further expounded on in the Quran. They are. There are examples and there are specifics. But this is it. This is the core of Islam. If you do not have a handle on all of these, no matter what extra you do, you are not on the straight path. Because either you are, it's a all or nothing proposition. Either you are walking on the straight path or you are not on the straight path. So it is important to understand Islam for what it is. It is not a cultural club. It is not a club. It is not anything but a commitment to a certain set of behavior. And you may not be perfect, and I may not be perfect, but if you are trying, it is obvious. And these things you can't screw up on. You really can't. Because as long as you're screwing up on these things, you will not make it, because you are going to be walking on the wrong path. And if you are walking on the wrong path, that is definitely not a path that leads to heaven. That is a path that leads to hell. So you have to, if you claim to be a Muslim, you have to remember this. This is what you have to focus on. And prayer and fasting and charity, all of these things, they are a tool to this goal, to this end. And if you claim to be a Muslim, you need to understand this and apply to yourself to this with the effort deserving to it. The effort you applied to learn math, the effort you applied to learn geography, and then to apply it to pass a test is nothing compared to the effort that it requires to master these things and to learn them. And if you don't put that effort forth, you will not be successful, no matter what you think of yourself. This is what Islam is. This is the core of it. And that's all I wanted to say. People need to know this because it is clear as day. Because I see people, even religious leaders, describing Islam for something that it isn't. Like a bunch of magical fairy tales and wishful thinking. This is what it is. And this is what is expected of us. And Prophet Muhammad and Prophet Jesus before him and Prophet Moses before him and all of the prophets, all the way, going back all the way to Adam, all of them said the same thing. And this is what is expected from people of heaven, because this is the only type of behavior that will allow heaven to stay heaven when we are allowed in it. So this is what is expected of us. That's what I wanted to say. So we all need to make an effort, and that's it.